color grading isn't something random. Every great edit usually has behind a color scheme. And so today I want to talk to you about 5 color schemes that every photographer should at least be aware of. And we start with the first one, which is a complementary color scheme. And I'll now pop my iPad screen. And I'll show you what I mean and where you can find them. I'm using an iPad, so I'm using Lightroom Mobile, but you can use Lightroom Desktop without any issues because you have the same settings. And you go into color and then color grading. And so complementary color scheme is a scheme built from 2 colors that sit opposite to each other on the color wheel. And in our case here, I'll just lower the saturation on both so that I keep the hue, I just lower the saturation. So right now I have highlights and I would add an orange into the highlights. And in the shadows, I will use a blue. Now these 2 colors, you can already see in the color wheel, they're opposite to each other. Orange is on the right side, blue is on the left side, and they're somehow opposite. Somehow they are opposite. And so you have orange and blue, teal and red, yellow and purple. All of these are complementary color scheme, and usually opposites create tension and energy. And whenever you're having a contrast like this and you have a subject, it makes the subject be more visible. Now the next, opa, oops. Now the next color scheme is analogous. And analogous is about a palette made from colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel. And that could be a green and a teal and a blue and I think it's purple, a red and an orange. These are analogous colors. They're next to each other. And you can use whatever you would like, shadows, midtones, or highlights. It doesn't matter. You don't need to pick one or just highlights and shadows. It's just a matter of how you want to do it and how it looks good for you in the end. And so analogous color schemes usually create harmony and softness. Now, if I have like this, it's a sunset, and I'm having in the shadows some orange, which means the part with the sand. And then in the highlights, I also use an orange to enhance the to enhance the dawn itself. And then in the midtones, I could go and use eventually a red to make it more impact. Okay, now I'll just change the saturations a bit because it's a bit too much. Now, if you look at it, what I used was in 2 circles, I used the same color, while in one, I used an analogous color. And so using colors like this, color schemes, you can combine them however you would like, and they give you a lot of variety and options. Specifically when you want to use these 3 color schemes and you have the same color in 2 of the circles, and then in the other one you're using a different color, you can do that very easily. And analogous colors usually feel natural and calm because they're not colors somehow that are fighting for attention. They're not like the complementary ones where if you're using orange and blue, one might be too much, one might be too less, and then one becomes a dominant and one somehow steals the attention. Now let's go to, let's try this. And let's go to the third color scheme, which is triadic. And usually what happens here, you pick 3 colors evenly spaced around the color wheel. As in, exactly like this. You have like a triangle. You have red, yellow, and blue. You have teal, magenta, and yellow. Usually, triadic colors create balance and give it a bit of vibrancy. And this is how I would use it in this specific image. I would go in the shadows, I would add a bit of blue. In the midtones, I would try and add a bit of red. You can see already that one is blue, one is red. And then I have to come up with something that is quite on top of these two from here. So I would go with maybe something green. So in the highlights, I would add a bit of green and then I would just leave it as it is. Of course, you can then play with the luminance based on it. You can play with the saturation of each color, but that's not the point here. It's more the idea of how to understand some color schemes so that you can use them to your advantage when you're color grading. Let's go to the fourth one. And the fourth one is maybe my favorite, I would say. It's called monochromatic. And what you usually do in these specific cases, you go to color grading. You either pick in one circle, one color, two circles, the same color, three circles, the same color. Now, the secret here is that you're building a palette of colors with variations of a single color, meaning different shades, different tints, different tones of one hue or one hue, same hue. So how do we example that? We make this as an example. How do we show this up? I have a hue of 14 in the shadows. And then I would go in the mid-tones. I would select the same hue of 14. Bear with me. 15, 13. Anyhow, same hue, 13, 15. It's not much of a difference. I would just saturate it a bit. And now I have the same color in two color wheels. And in the third one, I'm going to pick exactly the same thing. Nailed it, 14. Fuck yeah. I'm gonna pick the same thing and I'm gonna saturate it differently. And I'm gonna give it a bit more saturation. And now I have the same color, the same hue, and the image colored in a monochromatic color grading because I only used one specific hue with different shades, with different nuances, with different saturations of it. Which leads me to the last color grading color scheme that I'll talk about today. And this is split complementary. You go to color grading, and you have three color wheels. Now, split complementary is a twist on complementary. You take one base color and pair it with two colors next to its opposite. Kinda sounds complex, right? It's easy. You think of it, you had triangle before, triadic, which is triadic triangle. You had the same space between all the colors as a way to pick them. Now you have split complementary, which brings these two closer and one which is an opposite. So that's how you would think of it. Now, this can be something like if I go here and add an orange in the shadows, I picked one like this, so I would need to go either up, either down. So maybe I would go with the red in the midtones, red towards pink. So now I have these two here. I need to go the opposite. I need to go here and find, how can I show it? Find this one that's here. I picked these two. In the highlights, I need to pick this one. So this one would be, oops, this one would be somewhere on this side. Like this. And then just give a luminance. And this is a split complementary color scheme. You see one's the top, then one is lower, and then one is the opposite. This gives a more visual contrast. and it keeps the visual contrast and the excitement of complementary colors. The thing with this is that it comes with a less harshness, and it's usually suitable for more emotional depth from what I saw and from what I'm color grading. Now, if you want to go more in depth into color grading and understand more and see how I'm editing step by step and how to color grade and move hues and everything, I have a product in the description. You can check it out. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.